you trekkies and TV addicts, don't mean to this, don't mean to bring static. All you Klingons in your grandma's house, grab your backstreet friend, they get loud.
Say, Doc, what's the condition? I'm a man that's on a mission, like a scientist. When I'm applying this,
check it out. What's it all about?
Hello class, Mr. Avila is here back to talk to you about transitions in writing. In this first part, we're going to talk about transitional words. Now, I have to give you a bit of a disclaimer. I think that I teach transitions a little bit differently than some other people, but I've found that it's worked for my students, so that's what I'm going to teach you guys. And the first thing we need to understand about transitions is the paragraph. And much to the surprise of many people, a paragraph has no required length. It could be a sentence, it could be a word, it could be 5 to 7 sentences like you've probably heard. But there is no hard and fast rule. And that's something you're going to learn as you get better at writing, is that there are no hard and fast rules in writing. If it works, it's fine. A paper can have as many paragraphs as it needs. Not always or only 5 paragraphs. Think about it. When you guys get to college and you're assigned a 5, 10, 15-page paper, how are you going to have a 5-paragraph essay for a 5, 10, 15-page paper? So how do paragraphs work? Well, first of all, we always want to have more paragraphs because that's preferable to fewer paragraphs. If you keep your paragraphs shorter and have more of them, it'll help keep your reader's attention. But when you change paragraphs is when you change your topic or your point. And as, again, you get better at writing, you're going to learn that it's more even of a feeling. If you think it's a good idea to change paragraphs now because it'll make your paper make more sense, or you want to do it for dramatic effect, then that's going to be fine too. But what's not fine is this. If you start a paragraph with something like moreover, in addition, firstly, secondly, finally, in conclusion, stop. That's not good writing. That's middle school stuff. And as you're going to see, right, I call those transitional words. And to me, transitional words, well, they tell the reader the logical relationship between one idea and another idea. That's what transitional words are, and where they go, they should go inside the paragraph. Can you start a paragraph with a transitional word? You can, but I don't think they sound very good. But as you're going to see, transitional words, they should probably go inside the paragraph. Because tell me, which one sounds better? My friend, Mark, loves to play sports and is very athletic. He has won a scholarship to play football at university next year. Or, my friend Mark loves to play sports and is very athletic. In fact, he has won a scholarship to play football at university next year. Hopefully you said the second one, and I think that's because we included the transitional words, in fact. But we have to make sure that we pick the right word to relay the right meaning. What does that mean? Well, as you're going to see, each transitional word that we use tells the reader a point that we're trying to make or helps them understand something we're trying to say. So let's look. Mark is very athletic. In fact, he plays 3 sports at school. The transition, in fact, tells the reader that you are attempting to provide more evidence to convince them that your opinion is right. And again, the proper way to punctuate that, Mark is very athletic, period. In fact, comma, he plays 3 sports at school. And that's keeping it as 2 separate independent clauses. Mark is very athletic. He, in fact, plays 3 sports. Notice now I moved the transitional words in the middle of that second independent clause. And again, an independent clause is just a complete sentence. And that's okay too. That's how you vary your sentences. Some transitional words you can use to provide additional evidence or illustrate a point. You guys can pause and take a look at that if you want to. Some other ways that we use transitional words. Mark loves to go swimming in the ocean. However, his parents won't allow him to go today. The transition, however, tells the reader that the logical relationship between the 2 ideas is contrast. And the proper way to punctuate that, Mark loves to go swimming in the ocean, semicolon, however, comma, his parents won't allow him to go today. And notice that we have his lowercase after the transitional word, however. And again, what we did is we took 2 independent clauses, 2 separate sentences, and now we combine them into 1 sentence. So that's another way that we can vary our sentences when using transitions. Some transitional words that show contrast, again, you guys can pause and take a look at it. So let's take a look at some other ways we might use transitional words to enhance our writing. Let's say that you wanted to provide emphasis or reinforce a point for your reader. Something like Mark plays basketball. Indeed, he plays every Saturday, right? You're reinforcing the point that Mark plays basketball. You might want to use some words like this. And again, you guys can pause and take a look at them. Let's say you wanted to provide an example. Mark enjoys outdoor sports. Well, okay, what kind of sports does he enjoy? For example, he likes hiking, skiing, and fishing. Notice that the first sentence is emphasized by the second sentence since it provides some specific examples. And here are some transitional words that show exemplification. Maybe you wanted to show something was the result of, or the effect of something else. Mark broke his leg. He consequently can't play basketball, right? Because of this, then that. We could use words like you see here. Maybe you wanted to show a relationship in time between an event or a person or some type of action. Mark ate too much. Thereafter, he got sick. You can use some transitional words like these. And finally, here are some other categories of transitional words that you can use to kind of relay a message to your reader. If you wanted to show spatial relationships, if you wanted to show a concession, or you wanted to make a comparison, you wanted to summarize something, or you wanted to make a suggestion, these are all transitional words that will help you make that point. And that about wraps it up. Don't think that every sentence has to have a transition. Just like when you decide how long to make your paragraph or when to change paragraphs, use your best judgment. Go with what sounds the best when you are adding transitions. What we want to get away from is taking transitional words and starting paragraphs with them. So instead of using firstly, secondly, thirdly, in conclusion, moreover, in addition to, over and over again in your essays, check out part 2 to see how I start my paragraphs with something I call transitional phrases, and I think you're going to like the results. So check out part 2 or check out some of my other videos. Hopefully this has been helpful. I'm Mr. Aviles, and I will see you later.